This is Martin Giles of the Guildford Dragon News, and I welcome Philip Brooker, who's the leader of the opposition at Guildford Borough Council, to the Guildford Dragon this morning for an interview. Welcome, Philip.
Thank you. Good morning, Martin.
And this is one of a series of interviews with the leaders of the political parties at Guildford Borough Council. Philip, it's been 16 months now since the Borough Council election, so you've had plenty of time to analyse that result. What are your conclusions?
Well, the electorate decided on the council, and they opted for a Lib Dem majority council with the Conservatives as in the lead opposition position. Those are the cards that we were dealt, and those are the cards that we have to play.
So why didn't your party do better?
I would think there were quite a lot of reasons why we didn't do better. I mean, the principal one was that at a national level, people tend in local politics to follow national level guides, and we weren't doing particularly well on a national level. But we did gain seats and we did improve locally, and I was very pleased with that.
Okay, but do you think that if the election was held today, we'd see a similar result, or do you think there's been some disillusion with the Lib Dems locally?
There's certainly been some disillusion with the Lib Dems locally in the council today. Yes, if we had that election today, I would expect to gain seats. Certainly, I'm not certain that we would gain a majority, because I don't think that the Liberal Democrats have had made sufficient problems for themselves.
Okay, so what's your view of the current administration's performance? You have been critical in some of your comments and voted in favour of a no confidence motion against the council leader last year. Do you have confidence in her now?
Well, it's not so much what I think, it's what the Cllr report says. I mean, the Cllr report, quite frankly, makes my case for me. It talks about a lack of direction of travel, lack of governance, lack of strategy, lack of budgetary control, and lack of cost-benefit analysis. It was a completely damning report. And yes, I don't have confidence in the council, and neither does the Cllr report.
So the Cllr report, if you could just explain what that was for people watching the interview.
Oh, well, it came about after the two financial scandals of the last period. It was put in place to assess where the council was and how it had got there, and it came out with this damning report, essentially saying that all the principles of good governance had failed under the last administration.
Okay, and do you think those problems have been addressed, or are they still there?
Well, they are being addressed. This Cllr report, they decided to carry on with that and take all its recommendations, which is a good thing. Of course, I support that. But the question is, how did we get into that mess in the first place? Because I talked about the financial scandals, and there has been a lot of money spent by this council over the last period, which shouldn't have been spent. And therefore, that money has gone. So we might be getting better now, but how did we get into that position?
Okay, but that money is in a ring-fenced area of council finances. It doesn't affect their deficit, does it?
It's still money that the residents of Guildford have paid. Money is lost. It might be
it's public money, but what I mean is it doesn't threaten the deficit that was delicate a year or so ago.
It's not going to threaten an S114 bankruptcy notice, certainly. But the point is that you can't just say, well, that's okay then, we've spent this money and because it's ring fenced, it's fine. It's not. It's the Guildford residents' money.
No, I didn't mean to imply that, but I just wanted to clarify that there is the housing revenue account is ring fenced and separate to yeah. Okay. Now, if there was someone else proposed a motion of no confidence in the leader at the moment, how would you vote?
Well, I would have to say no. Again, I wouldn't vote for confidence in the leader. No, I don't think she is up to the job. She is certainly getting better, But as I say, the Solus report to me said it all. If I was leader of the council and received that report, I would have resigned the following day. She shouldn't be there, no.
Right. And so what is your general view about the finances at GBC? What shape are they in now, in your view? Have they recovered? And the threat of, as you mentioned, the Section 114, has that completely gone away?
No, it hasn't completely gone away. Um, we're coming up to the reporting period now in December, and we will find out exactly where we are. It is unlikely that we will have to issue an S114 because we have such a lot of assets. We have
Yeah,
nearly
sorry
$1
to
billion.
interrupt, but I ought to explain that the Section 114 means that the council can't balance the budget and therefore is effectively bankrupt. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct, yes. But to balance the books last time around, we had to sell £50 million worth of our assets, or they are up for sale. Now, that's again £50 million worth of money which is owned by the people of Guildford. And yes, we can sell more assets as they come along to balance the books, but that's not the way to go. We have to have a council that is credible, and we need to restore sound finances.
Now, one of the pressures that's going to be on the council budget is the money that will need to be borrowed to pay for Wayside Village development. Do you think the council can afford that project?
I think the situation, yes, they can afford it, but it is very, very tight. I mean, it went from being a challenging job or a challenging project when we were in power to now a very challenging project. Now, over that 4-year period, it's not completely clear exactly what went on. But from my major project experience, it's the pre-on-site activities that really make the success of a project. And as I say, we've gone from a challenging situation to a very challenging situation. The project looks as though it's going to come out at the end. Yes, it's going to be over budget, but it's good. There's the 1,500 houses there, so it's good for the people of Guildford. And of course, there's a new sewage works. And I supported the project. Yes, it has to come out. It can't exceed the current budget.
Okay, so you've itemized some benefits. How will the people of Guildford benefit from these 1,500 houses if they're sold on the open market? The people in the housing on the housing list, the council's housing list, they're not going to be able to afford them, are they?
Well, at the moment, there's still 40% affordable housing within the scheme, so that will benefit the people of Guildford.
But affordable just means 80% of the market rate, doesn't it?
That's correct, but it's better than 100%, isn't it? And it is rental accommodation.
It is, but it still doesn't. It still puts them out of reach of a lot of people, doesn't it? That might want to live here, and
Uh,
it doesn't reserve them for Guildford people in any way. They'll be on the open market.
Oh no, it doesn't reserve them for Guildford people in any way, but that is the result of living where we are actually living. We're living in a prosperous area,
Right.
and that can't be avoided.
Right. So, how would you overall rate your party's performance in opposition since the last election under your leadership? Do you think you have been effective in scrutinising and holding those in power to account?
Well, certainly I think we have, because as I say, all the things that we were doing last year, like we did produce a vote of no confidence. We did question the Waverley collaboration situation. Now that's a situation of transparency as well, because we asked if they'd done a cost-benefit analysis for that. They said they hadn't, so we said, will you? And they said, no, we won't. And then along came the Solus report, says, well, you actually should have done. So we're actually now doing one. So yes, things are getting better in that respect. But as I say, we haven't got a transparent council, and I think all the arguments that we were making have since come out on the Solus report. Yes, it's proved our case.
And do you have confidence in the review that's being conducted on the collaboration?
On the collaboration?
Yes, with Waverley.
Well, we have to see what it comes out with. Certainly, myself and my colleague over at Waverley have submitted some areas to be examined to the examining authority, and if they take those on board and deal with them properly, then yes, we will accept that result. But if they ignore that, then perhaps we're all open again. So we'll have to see.
Were you able to contribute to the terms of reference under which the people conducting the consultation
No, not the terms of reference, no. We put some suggestions forward for which they should examine, and they said they would take them on board, whatever that means.
Okay, but you haven't seen how that's translated into the terms of
No,
reference?
no, that's due out at the end of this month, and we'll reserve our position until then.
Okay, now returning to the HRA investigation, which you mentioned, 18.5 million overspend and possible fraud, the investigations still drag on. Would you have conducted them differently?
Well, we couldn't have conducted the fraud inquiry differently because that's out of our hands.
Yes.
But certainly we would have been more open with the information that we produced. I mean, you asked only a week ago, had all the electrical certificates been done? And the answer came back, we can't really answer that because of the fraud inquiry. Well, that's got nothing to do with fraud whatsoever. That's got to do with lack of transparency. So yes, we would have handled things differently. We would have put everything on the open. But I like to think we wouldn't have got into that position in the first place, because I do recall when I became a member of the executive in 2017, I think it was. Paul Spooner, then the then leader, said to me, "Whatever you do, question the officers. Question the officers, and challenge them." And I've always held that in my mind. Now I don't know whether the new executive did that when they came in. Certainly when they came in 2019, none of the executive had any executive power. So hopefully they were being guided by others, but we don't know. But certainly it doesn't appear that the questions were being asked that thoroughly because of the mess that the council got into over that 4-year period.
Now, yesterday it was announced that the final senior director in place at the time has left the council with a financial agreement, it seems. Do you think that's where the buck should stop for this? Or because obviously there was a councillor in charge of housing, and that is the council leader, Julia McShane. Do you think she should be held responsible in any way?
Well, of course, that is why I brought the vote of no confidence in the first place. It wasn't a vote of no confidence against the council. It was a vote of no confidence against the leader, who happened to also be the lead member on housing. So that's why I brought it. That was the principal reason, because of the housing scandals, which she had been in charge of for some years.
Okay. Now, you have criticised the Liberal Democrats on openness. Not just you, but you and other party members, other Conservative members. But wasn't your party just as economical with the truth when in power?
I wouldn't have said that. No, certainly there was not anything like the criticism that we hear today. I mean, of course, it was a long time ago. But no, I can't recall any such criticisms that we had when we were in power. Not to that extent, anyway.
Well, I know it is a long time ago now, but I mean, for instance, the fact that you kept the formula secret on how the housing target was arrived at, that was a pretty poor exercise of openness, wasn't it, in the council?
Well, again, that's not something that I can recall happening, so I can't really comment on that.
Okay. Philip Brooker, leader of the opposition and the Conservative group at Guildford Borough Council, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time, Martin. Thank you.